Hey, it's me, Dr. Fuzzy Face, and it's time for another round of I don't know, bad vibes roulette, something like that. Okay, just to preface, I'm thinking of ending things. Uh, I had been wanting to see this movie for quite some time. The opportunity arose while I was staying with family up north, up in fucking Massachusetts, and yeah, my mom had just passed, and we had kind of squared that away, the funeral and whatnot. And I was just kind of staying a week or so after that with various family members. And I just remember one night the opportunity did arise to see this film that I've been wanting to see. I'm thinking of ending things, and I've been hearing about it for quite some time. I love me some of those good mindfuck movies, and this turned out to be just the movie I needed at just the right time. This is kind of a long, convoluted flick. It's based on a book by what's the guy's name? I got the notes right here. Uh, Yes, and you'll note that I sometimes refer to notes. Ian Reed. I have not read the book. Not familiar with it at all. But cool movie. Follows or seems to follow a college student played by Jessie Buckley. She's throughout the movie, her name continually changed. She's Lucy, and then she's Louisa, and her name keeps kind of mutating. You don't really know why, but she's waiting for her boyfriend on the curb, and just waiting for him. And they're gonna go off to his parents' house. It's gonna be her first time meeting his parents, and she's sitting there just kind of continually repeating, I'm thinking of ending things. And a lot of this is her inner monologue. And yeah, by the way, I'm going to spoil this whole friggin' movie for you. Um, so she just kind of looks up the building as she sees this kind of paunchy old guy just kind of staring out of the window at her, staring out a window from up one of the upper floors of the building. And she's a little shaken by that, but she turns away, and her boyfriend pulls up. Her boyfriend is Jake, and he's played by Jesse Plemons. And much of this movie is this long, arduous car ride out into the country, and and they're just kind of going back and forth with this kind of ongoing dialogue. And meanwhile her inner monologue just keeps saying, I'm thinking of ending things. And you kind of get, okay, so what she means by that is, I'm thinking of breaking it off with this guy. And so finally they get to his place, and his parents own this kind of little rickety farm. And he goes out back, and there are, I think, dead lambs or dead pigs. And he describes, like, uh, that sometimes the animals would die on the farm. He remembers this one pig kind of rotting away with maggots and everything. Pleasant thought. But she's very bothered by all of it. And so you go into the house, and you meet Jake's parents, who were played by Tony Collette and David Thewlis. And over the course of the movie, they're there several days, and the conversations keep shifting. Not only does the Buckley characters name keep shifting, but the parents' age keeps shifting. They keep aging up and then down and up and down, and eventually they're very old, and David Thewlis is obviously kind of maybe in some stage of dementia, and is kind of talking ragtime about one thing or another. But you get to see various things around Jake's house, and his mother is constantly going off about what a brilliant artist he is, and he says, "I'm not much of an artist," just she's an artist, and she says, "Yeah, let's not talk about art." And, then they start talking about how he's a scientist and or some kind of profession one way or another, and and he keeps kind of blowing that off, and they talk movies. They go on this long rambling rant about John Cassavetes' Woman Under the Influence, and she's very critical of it and kind of snipey about it, and which yeah, for the record, Woman Under the Influence, I love that fucking movie, and I've got to do it on this platform at some point because it belongs in this series. But anyway, back to the house, you eventually find out things, and as things come more and more unglued, you see the shot of the girl whose name keeps changing. She has several shots where she walks downstairs multiple times down the same staircase, and everything seems a little unhinged. In the meantime, it cuts back briefly to the paunchy old man who is looking at her out the window of his apartment. He's shuffling around his apartment, getting ready to go to work, and eventually he pulls up a pair of overalls, and he's like a janitor of some kind, and he's off getting ready to go on his day, and that seems completely like detached from anything else that goes on in this film. And you go back to that, and eventually she goes into his boyhood room, and you get to see these paintings he did, which are like really kind of shoddy copies of just original classic pieces of work. You get to see Pauline Kael, like this volume of Pauline Kael criticism, this big volume of Pauline Kael film criticism. And the entire dissertation on Woman Under the Influence is lifted right from Pauline Kael's write-up on it. And the entire narrative really starts collapsing. In the end, they're driving back, and there's a big snowstorm, and they go to a little ice cream joint, which is a very surreal scene in and of itself. Guys, ice cream feels so much like a summer thing. Just going and getting ice cream in the middle of a snowstorm feels very weird to me. But anyway, so Jake and Lucy, or Louisa, or Lucia, or whatever her name is, pull into this school, and one or both of them gets up. He gets up and he goes in to see, I guess, maybe for help or something like that. And eventually she gets tired of waiting for him. She gets up and goes into the school, or maybe it's a little warmer or whatever. And she's looking around for him and doesn't see him. And then she finds the old janitor in there sweeping the floor, cleaning the floor, mopping the floor. And she asks him if he's seen Jake, and he hasn't. Can you describe him? What's he look like? And she says, I don't know. And eventually, this crazy finale breaks out where these dancers come out and are doing this interpretive dance version of what's going on in the story, and they have this kind of pushing, pulling kind of thing between Jake and what's her name, and eventually, like, the janitor swoops in like a Snidely Whiplash or something. This dancer who's supposed to be the janitor, and they all start fighting over, and that all comes apart. And everybody disappears except finally the janitor, who's left there alone, and he just kind of finishes up his job and starts following this cartoon pig down the hall, and this pig that's literally walking around and rotting and having a conversation with him as only a cartoon pig can do, and just telling him these very existential things. But he goes out to his truck, and the blizzard's coming down, and eventually he tears off his clothes, and somewhere in here you finally realize that this whole thing is happening, this whole story. There was really only one character in this whole story, and it's this miserable old janitor. And the entire refrain, "I'm thinking of ending things," isn't about this girl wanting to leave her boyfriend. It's about this janitor thinking of ending his life. And eventually, like the rotting cartoon pig, he takes off his clothes and basically freezes to death in the back of his truck. Meanwhile, in the auditorium, Jake is singing up on stage, and girlfriend is out in the audience, and all of the characters you've seen in the movie heretofore are out in the audience wearing this kind of ghoulish theatrical makeup, and he's on stage singing "Lonely Room" from Oklahoma, and he gets a big standing ovation, and everybody's clapping, and that's it. And that's basically the end of the movie. You see this, you see the janitor's truck there in the school parking lot as a snowplow is in the background, ready to uncover him and find his dead body. And basically, the Jesse Plemons character is, I guess, a recollection of his youth, or what he would have liked his youth to have been like, or maybe all the hopes and dreams that kind of went nowhere. And just basically, he just kind of winds up there, and just so he ingested a lot of film criticism, never became a film critic or much of anything else, never developed the art, never became any kind of an artist, never became any kind of a scientist. He just basically became a janitor, and finally decided to end things. And presumably the girlfriend character, whatever her name was, it kept mutating, was just this girl he looked out the window and saw and thought, what if? And, wow, what a sad life, what if? But how many people lead these lives of quiet desperation, right? Which is why going through my life, I've always kind of said, fuck being quiet. Anyway. Yeah, just a real heavy kind of mind melter of a movie that I enjoyed quite a lot. And again, Charlie Kaufman, just judging on what he's done before. I haven't seen Synecdoche, New York. I hear that's the big dog, and I really like to see that. Being John Malkovich had a couple of good gags in it. On the whole, it didn't really gel with me. But I'm thinking of ending things. It's a banger. I really, just a quiet, excuse me, a quiet kind of meditative banger that just kind of creeps into your brain and just lurks around there for a while, messes with all the gears. Anyway, I enjoyed that one quite a lot. Catch you next time.